Hi, I'm Mohsen, and I'm so excited to welcome you to The Seeking Soul. This podcast is a space where we explore topics like philosophy, spirituality, and literature, often from perspectives you may not have encountered before. As someone who grew up traveling, I've had the privilege of witnessing the deep similarities between cultures and people, even when mainstream narratives focus on what divides us. As an Iranian American, I've always felt to share the beauty, wisdom, and lessons from my Eastern heritage with my Western community, and vice versa. My hope is to be a bridge between these two worlds, fostering the sense of oneness and unity. With the help of AI, this dream feels more achievable than ever. Using documents and notes, I've provided with the link of the sources in the description. Along the way, you might encounter ideas that feel new, challenging, or even uncomfortable, and that's okay. That's the purpose of this space, to listen with empathy and approach every perspective with love and curiosity. Welcome to the Seeking Soul.
Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive with us. This time, we're going to be exploring something pretty fascinating, I think, this intersection of mysticism and technology.
Oh, yeah.
And to do this, we've got some really interesting sources. We're working from audio lectures in Farsi, along with English summaries and FAQs
Okay.
that unpack all the key ideas. And these lectures offer a very unique perspective that I think is going to really challenge how we think about these topics.
Yeah, I think it's a common assumption that tech and mysticism are like worlds apart. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? These sources argue that this separation comes from a very, limited understanding of both realms.
I love that. Okay, so let's dive into the Farsi word for mysticism.
Right.
What exactly does that entail?
So Irfan is all about this journey from the known to the unknown. And it's about using the familiar world as a bridge to a deeper understanding of reality. It emphasizes inner exploration and connection to something larger than ourselves.
That's a really compelling way to frame it. But, we tend to think of tech as the opposite of that, right? Like all about the material world, pushing the boundaries of what we can create and control.
Right, but these sources challenge that assumption. They even point out how many great scientists, throughout history were deeply spiritual.
Oh, interesting.
Like Isaac Newton, for example,
Oh, yeah.
often considered the father of modern science. But his work was very deeply intertwined with his theological beliefs.
That's right. And it's almost like that idea that every scientific discovery, every breakthrough starts with that spark of insight.
Yeah.
And these sources call it barg, the Farsi word for an electric spark. And they suggest it's kind of like the driving force behind both scientific and mystical discoveries.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. They propose that this barg, this spark of insight, isn't just random.
Right.
It's actually divine in origin, like a whisper from the universe pushing us towards greater understanding.
Whoa, okay. I'm really feeling that deep dive sensation now.
Yeah.
So we've got this divine spark, this drive to explore the mysteries of the universe, whether through science or mysticism.
Right.
But what fuels this journey?
The lectures offer a really powerful answer, the Farsi word for love.
Okay, I have to admit, when I think love, I don't usually picture, lab coats and equations. So are we talking about romantic love here?
Not exactly. It's much, much broader concept. Think of it as a deep love for knowledge, for beauty, for the divine itself. It's the same passion that drives artists, musicians, and yes, even scientists to create and discover.
I'm starting to see the connections here. So if love is this driving force, where does technology actually fit into all of this? Is it the enemy of this mystical journey, or can it actually be a tool?
So the lectures use a specific word for technology, afsar, which translates to tool or art, emphasizing that technology itself isn't inherently good or bad.
Okay.
It's a means to an end, much like a paintbrush in the hands of an artist.
So it's not about rejecting technology, but about using it wisely to achieve a higher purpose. That really resonates with me. But how do we actually do that? How do we become the masters of our tech rather than letting it master us?
Well, the lectures offer a fascinating historical example to illustrate this, King Suleiman. He's known for his wisdom and his ability to control devils,
Okay.
which in this context symbolize the chaotic or misused aspects of technology.
So Suleiman represents this ideal integration of technological prowess and spiritual awareness, right? He uses his wisdom, guided by a higher purpose, to ensure technology serves the greater good. So are the lectures suggesting that without that kind of guidance, technology can become, I don't know, dangerous?
Precisely. The lectures warn that without a connection to something greater, technology can easily become a force that controls us, rather than the other way around.
Hmm.
We become slaves to our devices, our algorithms, our endless streams of information.
Yeah. It's like we're seeing that play out in the real world today, right? The constant distractions, the feeling of being overwhelmed by information, the anxiety that comes with being constantly plugged in.
It's a perfect example of how these, ancient concepts of Irfan and Barg are incredibly relevant to our modern lives.
Yeah.
They offer a framework for understanding our relationship with technology and reclaiming our agency in a world that can feel increasingly dominated by it.
This is definitely making me rethink my own relationship with technology. So if we want to avoid becoming slaves to our tech, to become more like King Suleiman, what can we do? How do we make sure we're using our afzar for good and not letting it control us?
Right. The lectures offer a powerful story to illustrate this point, the tale of the king and the kenzik,
Oh.
the Farsi word for a servant girl.
Mm.
And it highlights the limitations of technology when it's disconnected from a higher purpose.
Okay, I'm always up for a good story. What happens in this tale?
So imagine a king, completely smitten with a beautiful servant girl.
Mm.
He's head over heels in love, but tragedy strikes when the girl falls ill.
Does the king try to save her?
He does everything in his power. He has access to the best doctors, the most advanced medicine, all the wealth and technology imaginable. But despite all of his efforts, nothing seems to work. The girl's condition just worsens. The story emphasizes that even with all the afzar in the world, material solutions alone can't solve every problem.
Right.
It's a reminder that we need something more, a connection to something deeper, to truly navigate the complexities of life.
So the king had all the tools, but perhaps he was missing that that love and deeper understanding that the lectures emphasize.
That's a very insightful observation, and it leads us to this profound saying from the lectures: eat the bread of the world, but do the work for the next world.
I love that. It's so simple, yet so profound. What's the deeper meaning behind those words?
It's a call for balance. The lectures are urging us to engage with the world, to enjoy its pleasures and utilize its tools, but we should never lose sight of something greater, something that transcends the material realm.
So it's not about rejecting the world or technology, but about finding a deeper meaning within it, right? It's like using our afzar, our technology, as a bridge to connect with that that divine spark within us.
That's a beautiful way to put it, and it's this delicate dance between the material and the spiritual, between technology and mysticism that we'll be exploring further as we continue this deep dive. That analogy of eating the bread of this world really hit home for me. It's like we can enjoy all the advancements of technology without letting them become our sole focus.
It's about aligning our use of technology with a higher purpose, those values that give our lives meaning.
Exactly. And to illustrate that point, the lectures share another powerful story. This one's about a king, and he gets so caught up in pursuing wealth and power that he totally loses sight of what truly matters.
Okay, another story. I love it. What happens to this king?
He achieves everything he ever wanted, riches, palaces, technological advancements, you name it. But despite having it all, he ends up utterly alone and miserable.
Oh, man. The classic, be careful what you wish for, or maybe be careful how you wish for it kind of tale.
Right.
Because if your heart isn't in the right place, even the most amazing technology isn't going to bring you happiness.
Exactly. It's a reminder that technology amplifies our intentions, both positive and negative. It can help us create a more just and compassionate world, or it can exacerbate problems and lead to more suffering.
So how do we make sure our hearts are in the right place? How do we avoid falling into that trap of letting technology control us or lead us down the wrong path?
The lectures emphasize mindfulness as a key practice. It's about paying attention to how we're using technology, being aware of the values driving our choices, considering the impact of our actions.
So it's not just being a mindful consumer of technology, but a mindful creator.
Absolutely. Asking the tough questions. Why are we building this? What problem are we trying to solve? Who will benefit? And most importantly, are we using our afzar in a way that aligns with our esh?
I love that. It's like before you write a single line of code or design a circuit, even download an app, you take a moment, connect with your heart, with that divine spark.
Yeah. And it ties into another point the lectures emphasize: the limitations of intellect alone.
Hold on. Are you saying we need to move beyond logic and reason? Aren't those essential for progress, for science and technology?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the lectures caution against relying solely on intellect, to the exclusion of intuition, inspiration, and that deeper connection.
So it's that balance again, using our intellect to guide our actions, but letting our hearts lead the way.
Exactly. And it's in that sweet spot, that space between logic and intuition, where true innovation flourishes.
It makes me think about those times when I had this gut feeling about a new technology, a sense that something wasn't quite right, even if I couldn't logically explain it. Maybe we need to pay more attention to those intuitive whispers,
Right.
those nudges from the heart.
The lectures use a powerful metaphor to describe this, which translates to the spark of our intellect is for crying.
Wow. That's pretty intense imagery. Like, our minds are incredibly powerful tools, but without the guidance of the heart, they can lead us astray.
Exactly. The lectures encourage us to tap into a deeper source of wisdom, one that transcends the limitations of the purely rational mind.
So it's not abandoning intellect, but expanding our definition of what it means to be intelligent, to include not just logic, but empathy, intuition, connection to something greater.
Beautifully put. And it brings us to a crucial question. If our hearts are guiding our technological journey, what direction do we want to go in? What kind of future do we want to create with our Azar?
That's a huge question, and I think it's one we all need to grapple with, individually and collectively. What kind of world do we want to live in? What role do we want technology to play? How do we ensure our innovations serve the greater good, not just our own self-interests?
You've hit the nail on the head. It comes down to values, ethics, our capacity for love. If love is the driving force, our creations will reflect that.
It's inspiring to think about what we could achieve if we approach technology from this perspective. Imagine AI designed to promote empathy, understanding, virtual reality experiences that connect us to nature, to each other, social media that fosters real connection, meaningful dialogue.
It's a beautiful vision, and it's a reminder that the future isn't predetermined. It's being shaped right now by our choices, the values we prioritize, the questions we ask.
This deep dive is giving me so much to think about, but there's one more piece of the puzzle I'm curious about. The lectures seem to suggest there's another realm beyond the physical world, a realm that we can access through mystical practices like Irfan. What role does this other realm play in our relationship with technology?
That's a fascinating question, and one that I think we should definitely explore in the final part of our deep dive. Because what if this mystical dimension, this realm beyond our everyday perception, holds the key to unlocking the true potential of technology?
Okay, I'm ready. Let's dive into this whole other realm beyond the physical world thing.
Right.
This idea of Irfan as a bridge to something deeper, color me intrigued.
Yeah, well, this is really where the lectures get interesting. They suggest that Irfan, this journey from the known to the unknown, isn't just about, abstract concept.
Yeah.
It's about, experiencing a different dimension of reality,
Yeah.
one that's kind of hidden beneath the surface of our everyday lives.
So not about escaping the physical world, but uncovering this, deeper layer of reality that's always been there.
Exactly. And what's really, I think, mind-blowing is that the lectures suggest that technology, when used intentionally, can help us access this hidden realm.
No, that's a twist. We usually think of technology as being very much grounded in the material world. How could it possibly help us connect with something beyond that?
Well, think about it this way. Throughout history, mystics and spiritual seekers have used tools and techniques to enhance their practices, like meditation beads, chanting, rituals. These are all afsar, in a sense. They're designed to, shift our awareness and help us connect with something beyond, the ordinary.
So you're saying that technology, when used with the right intention, could become a modern-day afsar for spiritual exploration?
Precisely, the lectures suggest that technology can help to create the conditions for those, like shifts in perception, those moments of insight and connection that mystics have described for centuries.
I mean, imagine virtual reality experiences that immerse us in sacred spaces.
Right.
Or biofeedback devices that help us tap into subtle energy fields. It's pretty amazing to think about.
Yeah, it's almost like turning the tools of the material world inward, using them to explore the inner landscape of consciousness.
I love that. And it really challenges that common notion that technology is inherently distracting or disconnecting.
Right.
What if, instead of pulling us away from ourselves, it could actually help us become more present, more aware of the interconnectedness of everything?
Right. It's a pretty radical shift in perspective. But, I mean, technology is a reflection of our own creativity and ingenuity.
Hmm.
If we can use it to explore the outer reaches of space, why not the inner depths of our own being?
Right, exactly.
And the key, as the lectures emphasize, is intention. If we're using technology to numb ourselves, to escape reality, to fuel our, ego-driven desires, it's unlikely to lead us towards spiritual growth. But if we approach it with awareness, reverence, a genuine desire to connect with something greater than ourselves, then the possibilities are really limitless.
So it's not about demonizing technology or trying to live this tech-free life. It's about becoming conscious creators and users of technology. It's about aligning our digital tools with our spiritual aspirations.
Beautifully said. It ties back to that profound phrase from the lectures, eat the bread of this world, but do the work for the next world. We can engage with technology, we can enjoy its benefits, but always with an awareness of its potential impact on our hearts, our minds, our connection to something bigger than ourselves.
This deep dive has been really amazing. I'm starting to see my own technology use in a whole new light. It's not just about staying connected or being entertained. It's about using these tools to, I don't know, cultivate a deeper sense of awareness, purpose, and connection.
And remember, this journey of exploration, it never really ends.
Mm-hmm.
The more we learn, the more we realize how much there still is to discover.
That's the beauty of it, right? Well, to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to continue this deep dive on your own. Explore this intersection of mysticism and technology. Experiment, play around with using your digital tools in new ways and see where it leads you. You might be surprised by what you uncover. Thanks for joining us.